Wait, what? Repeat that again? Did you just dumbfound yourself? Oh, I love that obese Barbie doll. Okay, anyway. We're wasting time here. Okay, now. The next one that, of course, we are talking about, I think will be... Very briefly, we'll talk about sexuality in comics. Simply because this is something that Zipblock also brought up. Yes, if you're watching these videos, Zipblock, we seem to be taking a lot of your topics and then doing responses to them. But apparently, plug your mic in and plug your mic out there, Horseman. You're... Okay, there we go. Now I can barely hear you, dude. There you go. Now you're coming in clear.
Okay.
Yeah. Apparently what you guys don't know is that Horseman's got to sit there, you know, with like TV antenna wires, and he's got to, like, you know, try to get a radio signal from the planet Xenu just to get his mic to work. Now, you know.
Joke.
Do what?
You made a Scientology joke with Xenu. Next you're going to say Tom Cruise is hiding in my closet masturbating.
Tom Cruise is in everyone's closet masturbating, alongside Charlie Sheen, who's sniffing coke and talking about winning when he's homeless. You know, now... Oh!
Charlie Sheen joke.
Oh, snap, shit just got real. Now, you know, I had to at least do that at some point, and that just came out of nowhere. I didn't even think about that. But anyway, no, sexuality in comic books. This is something that I think a lot of people have been talking about. And it's rightfully so, because comic books today are having... It seems like every single comic book character, after a certain point, they reach that puberty hormonal stage. Even if it's a character as old as shit like Batman, they just... somebody's always getting something. I mean, Deadpool had to shoot Aunt May and Uncle Ben dead because they're sitting there, you know, naked having sex. Then, you know, Peter Parker walks in One More Day, catching J. Jonah's father and Aunt May getting it on. Then let's not forget that we see the Pym particle sequence between Hank and Janet. I'm not even going to try to explain that. Black Canary in lingerie walking towards Green Arrow. You know, freaking a wounded Catwoman making out with Batman. It's like, you know, I get that these characters, some of them are married or like boyfriend and girlfriend, are very intimate. But my God, man, it goes back to my point with the Huntress. Is the sex part really necessary?
Yeah, like, seriously, yeah. The one thing about comic books that, you know, comic books are just like any other form of entertainment. You know, we read them to be entertained. I'm sorry, but I'm not really interested in seeing Batman's dark, you know, hairy ass throughout 20 pages of it. I don't want to see Superman super boner throughout 20 pages of a damn comic. Come on.
Oh, come on now.
You thought I'd forgotten about that, didn't you?
Another time, viewers, I will fill you in on the inside joke of that, but for right now, you know, we'll... But no, it's just, I mean, and the one person, and if it's not Huntress being, you know, a little slut, then I've noticed it's always Power Girl. You know, they always sexify Power Girl because, you know, she's got this big ample bust, and she's always got what they call the cleavage window, and in some drawings it's really ginormously ridiculously huge, In other portions, you know, she's perfectly fine. You know, she's normal chested, and this bothers me because,
you know, and that reminds me of the fact that I actually have a lot of 90s DC comics, and a few of them have Catwoman in them. And apparently in the early 90s, Catwoman wore a costume that very, very tightly accentuated her entire bodily physique. And it pretty much showed her naked underneath this whole costume. Because like it was this big, long, purple, like costume.
oh, that purple costume, yeah, like you could see the outline of like her breasts. You could see,
Yeah.
you know, what almost looked like a camel toe. And see, to me, I didn't understand that as a kid, but looking at it as an adult now, it's like, whoa.
Yeah, it's like, how the hell did they get away with this?
Exactly. But it's just, I mean, I think the funniest one, and I mean, there's been a few points, even in the X-Men and like Marvel, they've been ballsy. Like they did one where, like in Ultimates 3, which is horrendous, they, you know, Tony Stark had this sex tape of him and Black Widow leaked all over the internet, and you see it in the background of one of the panels. And then on top of that, they have another part, hold on, yeah, you better run, cat. You know, and then they have one part which I always love, and I wish I can show this panel to people, and I may do it one day when I talk about Hank Pym on Lesser Known. But there's this panel where you hear Janet like moaning and screaming, and you think that there's a fight ensuing, and Hank Pym is using the Pym particles to, shall we say, have a little bit of fun. You know, without being too explicit. And then there's and then they have another one where Kitty Pryde actually is in like this brothel or whatever, and she shocks Colossus by standing there in like a boudoir bed or something, and all you see is her backside and maybe a little bit of butt cleavage, just maybe. And it's stuff like that that it brings up the question. You know, are, you know, younger kids in this generation and even adolescents, is this really the kind of stuff that you want to get them into superheroes on? I mean, I know that some of these people are like 16, 17 and stuff, and that's fine, okay. But we're talking about the kids who have just hit puberty.
And really, I mean, and going back to what I was saying, minus the whole super boner thing, I really would rather see a comic telling an interesting storyline with having a lot of kick-ass action rather than, you know, seeing characters very explicitly making love with each other for about half of the comic's length.
Now,
I realize that it's part of their character development and stuff, but when it gets to be very excessive in certain comics.
I mean, okay, if they show a panel of like Spider-Woman and Mary Jane as a couple, if they show, you know, Clark and Lois on their honeymoon, okay, stuff like that is fine. But I think the one character, and I will give the writers and whoever credit, but She-Hulk, her panels whenever she's having sex galore is always hilarious, especially the one with